All right, fellas, welcome back to another episode here at the Subi Sanctuary. We have this 2004 WRX. We are going to be putting on some fender flares. We are going to try and mold them on. I guess at this point, reason he is going this direction, he's got some typical Subaru activity going on in the quarter panels. The bottom of the front fenders are rusted, but he brought us new fenders. And then we are going to do a complete repaint on this, so it's going to be quite a makeover here. So as you can see, she's a little multicolored. This side's a little less gnarly, but still pretty gnarly to say the least. It does have some unusual rust going down the C-pillars. That is not totally common, but I would assume this was an accident repair back here. We'll see what we can do cleaning that up. We're also going to shave the trunk, so get rid of the wing and the keyhole as well. So it's going to be quite a change from how you see it now. So first thing we're going to do is probably get off the front fenders there, put on the actual fenders, go over, sand the whole car, take apart what we need to, and begin mocking up the fender flares. Now that we have the not rusted out fenders on, we put the bumper back on because these are the ones that we're gonna mold the flares to. Alright, hit it. Alright, so Jesse and Dylan got started on this car on Friday. I had the day off, but it is Monday. Came back in, finished taking some more of the trim off. One that goes along here, door moldings, all the rubbers, mirrors, hood scoop, and all the other little things. And I think we are ready to start grinding down all of the rust bubbles. And yes, she does have some rust bubbles. So there's there, and you know, just going around the car. This car rusts in some weird areas. Normally this isn't a common spot for it, but yeah, I'll get the grinder out and hopefully make it look a little worse before it gets better. Alright, before I get started grinding on these car, I just want to point out someone had been annoyed by me not wearing PPE, so they actually sent us some earplugs. So if you guys are annoyed that I'm not wearing a mask, send us some masks. So now that most of the car has been prepped for paint, there's still a few little things we have to do. We're going to get started on actually cutting up the quarter panel so that we can put the fender flare on. The first step we're going to do is the lip that runs inside here, the one that most people roll over when they're slamming their cars. We're just going to cut that right off. Go from there. Where's my safety glasses? Okay, so we cut out the wheel well.
Next I'm going to draw kind of a line to give us an idea of where we're going to fold this in. We don't want to go too far because this is actually where we attach the fender flare to. So trusty Sharpie and kind of eye her up. Alright, with the rear quarter done, we're on to the front. This is a lot easier. We don't have to actually bend or fold anything because it's just a fender. We're not trying to connect it to some structural inner wheel well or anything. So you just kind of draw the line where you want to cut, and then you cut. So now that we've cut up the quarter panel, it was time to test fit the fender flare, and we're going to have a lot of work to do. So if you look, this fits pretty well along the front. You go along the back, and I don't know what happened there. Like, that is supposed to be kind of flush. There's not supposed to be a huge gap here, so it fits like shit. I guess I'm going to have to cut it up and make this sit further back and kind of up a little more down here. Alright, so now I just made these little temporary brackets to hold the gaps nice and closed. Put one new fiberglass over it to make it one piece again. Custom. Now as the fiberglass is drying on the rear flares, we're going to attempt to fit the front ones. We got them in with a couple self-tappers, and you can see the fitment is not great. So while the fender is cooling off, we're going to work on the bumper portion. And that might not look too bad until you realize that's not right. So what I'm going to have to do is probably just cut a line through it, so that way the bottom sits where it's supposed to, the top sits where it's supposed to, and I'm just going to build up the middle. So the heat gun really did the trick. It's a lot closer than it was. Nowhere near getting my fingers in behind that now. And that's just, nothing's mounted, so it's loose, but once you push in on it, like, that gap is real small. Especially when using panel bond and a clamp, you won't have a problem there at all. As for the bumper piece, you can see it was about that much too short. So I'd cut it, and we'll have to build that up with fiberglass. So now the front fender flare is on. It's been kind of test fitted. We've cut it where we need to extend it. We're ready to fill this area in with fiberglass. I put a bit of masking tape just on the back of it to have a bit of a, support for the fiberglass to sit. So we're gonna mix up some resin and get going on that. All right, so the rear fender flare has dried, and now we're ready to layer up the backside for some extra support. All right, let's glue, bro. the flares mounted. We've been working on actually sculpting it all so that it actually looks like it's part of the body of the car. This is not too exciting to watch. It's basically add filler, sand filler, add filler, sand filler, until you get it nice and smooth and in the correct shape. Fronts, I was at a point where I thought I could throw a quick coat of primer on there just so we can visualize what I've done. Still gonna need a lot more work. Like you can see, that body line is nowhere near correct. But from back here, it's starting to look like a fender flare. So I'm probably gonna spend another 20 hours getting these all sanded and fitted and looking mint. And then we'll finally be getting close to the fun part, where we get to paint it and actually make it look like one car again. Always excited to see it once it gets into one color. Well, with all of our final bodywork done, the kit is looking pretty mint. Now we're going to be spraying some filler primer. That'll let us block out any real minor imperfections. So I'm gonna shoot it right here in the shop because I don't feel like moving it all the way into the paint booth just to shoot a couple small spots. So I've got my chemistry set here. That's body filler, ignore that. We're gonna be using some nice high build primer there. Got myself the mixture. So I'm gonna throw her in the gun, test it out, put my mask on, and make her mint. With the high build primer on, now we can see that we are not done sanding. It really highlights any imperfections, but that's okay. That's kind of what it's for. Builds it up, and then we have lots of room to sand it down. I primed the front of the hood as well to fill in a bunch of stone chips, so after we block that down, she should be nice and smooth. We're getting close. We're getting real close to paint. The filler primer has now dried, and I've begun sanding. Front end, she's looking real good. Got all sorts of little imperfections out of it. Man, that filler primer, if you do not like doing body work, that filler primer is great. Okay, this was really hard to do, to try to get all the like body lines in one area to line up and match well, but I think we accomplished it. So now we're just on the back of the car. I have everything from there, kind of there, forward sanded. I just have to do the quarter panel, trunk lid again, and rear bumper again. Then we'll be ready to pull the doors off and scuff all the jams. We are finally done with the body work. Everything has been sanded other than the door jambs. We got a de-dust, make sure there are no little spots that we missed, because if there's any shiny stuff left, the paint won't stick. One thing I'm gonna show you guys, like every wide body flared out car needs, it's gonna need some crazy offset wheels. Take a look at these. How's that for offset?
Alright guys, that concludes this video. So it is looking sweet. The paint you see here was a one-shot deal. It is a really nice one-shot finish with no corrections needed. We even found one of our classic gray stickers. We did not sand the glass. This was someone previous. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you very much for watching, guys. This was a really fun project. Definitely a lot of work to get these flares as nice as they are. And they look like fantastic, super nice. Also, if you're worried about the stance, he has wheel spacers en route, and he's gonna get her all in check. And it's gonna look totally awesome.